There's a concept, there's a measurement of trees that's not commonly used by most people. Most people can think about a tree and think about the diameter of the tree. And while that's useful, it's not as useful as a concept that's known as basal area. So the basal area is really, it's relatively simple, but it's different for most people, most maple producers to think about. It's the area of the tree near the base in the cross section. So if you take a stem and you were to imagine cutting that off and now you have a circular stump and you were to measure the surface area of that stump, that's the basal area. So a 14-inch diameter tree has a basal area of about 1 square foot. So the bigger the tree, the bigger the basal area of that individual tree. And you all remember, maybe you remember from your last geometry class, that when you want to calculate the area of a circle, it's pi, 3.1415, times the radius square, so pi r squared. So if we look at a particular stump on a tree, we could measure the circumference of this tree. We could use a diameter tape to measure the diameter, and we could get an estimate of the diameter, calculate the radius, square the radius times pi, and that gives us the basal area of the tree. Now we take that diameter measurement at 4.5 feet above ground, or the diameter at breast height. The reason why basal area is important is because it provides a more sensitive measurement of how a tree responds to growth. A simple illustration of that relationship, the comparison of basal area to tree diameter, happens if you, for example, start with a 10-inch diameter tree and a 16-inch diameter tree. If you give them a couple years to grow, you come back and measure them, and both those trees would have, let's say, grew by 4/10 of an inch. So the 10-inch tree is now 10.4, the 16-inch tree is now 16.4. If you calculate the basal area at the starting time, 10 inches and 16, and at the ending time, if all you look at is diameter, it appears that those trees grew equally. But in reality, the 16-inch tree grew significantly more. It had about 67% greater wood increment than the 10-inch tree, just because you're adding wood around a larger circumference. And so that 16-inch tree had a much greater growth output. That growth output is important as a predictor for the volume of sap that a tree is going to produce.